Yo, welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Breathe Hoops with your boy, Nikki P. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all saw the thumbnail. Let's dive right into it. The evolution of the three-point shot. Before we talk about the D-ball, we have to talk about the mud. For the first 50 years of pro basketball, there was no three-point line. None at all. Zero. Imagine that for a second. Every single basket, whether you were Wilt Chamberlain backing down a defender from the post or Jerry West pulling up from 25, 30 feet, was worth exactly 2 points. The only thing that separated a good shot from a bad shot was the percentage. And in those days, the analytics were simple. The closer you got to the rim, the better the shot. The game was a war of attrition. It was big men banging in the paint and guards feeding the post. If you shot from way out, coaches didn't just frown upon it. They benched you if you was missing a few too many. It was considered a low percentage heat check, a selfish play that gave up a possession. But in 1979, the NBA decided to experiment. They introduced the three-point line to inject some excitement. And you know what happened? Nobody really cared. In the first season, the entire league attempted just 2.8 threes per game, and they shot them at a miserable 28%. Coaches despised it. The shot was viewed as a gimmick, a sideshow. It was a white flag shot. If you were down by 15 with a minute left, you might chuck one up, but otherwise, it was sacrilegious. For nearly a decade, the three-point line was just a decoration on the court. It existed, but it was ignored. It was a tool for specialists, and even then, those specialists were often relegated to the end of the bench. The game was still about the big man. The three-pointer was a novelty act. The era of the specialist. Then some things shifted. The line didn't change, but the players did. Enter the specialists, the guys who spent hours in the gym perfecting that specific art. This was the era of the spot-up specialists. Think Craig Hodges winning three-point contests. Think Reggie Miller, who turned the three-pointer into a weapon of psychological warfare. But even then, it was a limited role. You didn't run your offense through a three-point shooter. You ran your offense to find them when the defense collapsed on the big man. Here's the key. Coaches started to realize that if you had one guy who could shoot it, it stressed the defense. The defense couldn't help as aggressively in the paint because if they left the shooter, it was an automatic three ball. We saw this with the Houston Rockets in the mid-90s. They surrounded Hakeem Olajuwon with 4 shooters. That wasn't just about scoring, it was about space. It was the first taste of modern spacing. But still, there was a limit. The three-pointer was a role player's job. Superstars like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, they would use the three, but it wasn't their identity. They were killers in the mid-range, in the post, and at the rim. The three-point shot was the dagger, not the sword. It was a nice to have, not a need to have. You had to be wide open. You had to be set. If you took a contested three with 18 seconds on the shot clock, you were getting pulled from the game. That was the unwritten rule. The superstar adoption and spacing explosion. The rules changed. The hand check was outlawed. The pace and space era was born, and with it came the complete evolution of the superstar. This is the era where the three-pointer stopped being just a specialist tool and became a necessity for greatness. We saw Ray Allen redefine movement, using the three to score off the dribble and off screens. But the seismic shift came with the skinny kid from Davidson, Steph Curry, who catapulted it to a whole nother level. Curry didn't just shoot threes. He changed the geometry of the court. He started shooting from 28, 30, 35 feet plus. Defenses had to guard him as soon as he would cross past half court. And let's not forget another all-time great shooter who was right there alongside him for many years, and Klay Thompson. This opened up the paint in drastic measure for his teammates and for those Warriors to go on championship runs and rack up some chips. Suddenly, every coach in the world had a revelation. If you don't shoot threes, you can't win a championship. Teams started obsessing over pace and space, and the superstars adapted. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, they've all added a deep ball to their arsenal. They became three-level scorers. Although Durant and Leonard much better and way more confident and more consistent at taking the three than LeBron. We saw the rise of the floor spacer. Teams didn't just want a shooter, they wanted 4 shooters. The goal was to make the defense guard every inch of the floor. The dribble drive offense became popular, along with the pick and roll. It became a weapon of mass destruction. For a few years, it was beautiful. It was an art form. Passing became more important. Movements became more fluid. Players like Klay Thompson were running off 20 screens a game just to get a look. Then the modern addiction hit. But here we are in the modern era, and we have a problem. It's no longer just the guards. It's the bigs. We live in a world where Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and even centers like Brook Lopez have become volume three-point shooters. If you're a 7-footer and you can't shoot the three, you're often viewed as a relic, a dinosaur, and that's where the pendulum has swung too far. The analytics say the three-pointer is efficient because it yields 1.5 points per attempt. The problem is, teams are now taking 40, 45, sometimes 53s in a game. And on top of that, players who aren't shooters are still chunking them up like they are shooters. Players who historically shot 30% from deep are now chucking up 5 or 6 three-point attempts a night. We see guards dribbling into a double team, not finding an open man, but to take a heavily contested step-back three, a dumb shot. The mid-range jumper, the 15-footer that Michael Jordan made famous, is almost extinct. It's considered the worst shot in basketball by analytics nerds who never played the game and were never great or good at the game in their own right. But that's a lie. A wide-open mid-range shot, especially if you practice it consistently from an early age, is way better than a heavily contested, off-balance three-pointer. We've reached the point of excess. Teams are handcuffing themselves behind the arc. If the threes aren't falling, they don't have a plan B. They don't run offense. They just run isolation at the top of the key and heave. Coaches are now pleading with their players to drive the ball, but the players are addicted to the deep ball. It's the mindset of the modern player. I make one, I feel good. I miss 4, I don't care. I'm getting the next one. We've lost the nuance of the game. It's become a glorified game of horse at times. The verdict, for better or for worse? Man, the evolution of the three, has it been for better or for the worse for the game of basketball? A little bit of both, but at this current juncture, a little bit is leaning on the worst side. But on the argument for the better, it has made the game more accessible. It values skill over pure size. But, on the flip side of that, a lot of bigger guys that did play like true big men actually had great skill and were complete and well-rounded bigs in terms of footwork, being able to finish with the right and the left, rebounding, getting position, playing comfortably with your back to the basket and being able to score down on the block. A lot of centers don't really have that capability because they're too focused on trying to shoot threes nowadays. But on top of that, the three-pointer has created space and creativity and some of the most breathtaking offensive highlights that we've ever seen. The sheer talent required to shoot from 30 feet with a hand in your face is astronomical. But for the worse, it has killed variety, and it has killed players truly developing complete games and truly utilizing complete games on the court throughout a 48-minute outing. Every team looks the same. Everybody chunking threes. They run the same sets. They hoist the same shots. The art of the mid-range jumper, the fadeaway, the pull-up, the post-up fade is being lost, with very few players consistently being able to do it and do it well. Great defense is now less about stopping a shot and more about hoping the opponent misses, because when you have 5 shooters on the floor, you can't help. You can only pray. We're seeing players force shots that aren't good. Often, they're choosing to be one-dimensional. Instead of being a complete player like I was just alluding to, they try to become three-point specialists to a fault. The game is becoming homogenized. The conclusion, the three-point shot is the greatest innovation in basketball history, arguably at least. The best teams moving forward are going to be the ones who use the three-point shot as a tool and not as a crutch. They're the ones who still value the mid-range, who still attack the rim, who shoot the three with discipline and not just volume. It's here to stay, but the teams that win the championship are the ones who use the three-pointer intelligently. The ones who understand that a good midi is better than a forced three. This evolution is still happening. The question isn't whether the three-pointer will disappear. It's whether we can find the balance between efficiency and entertainment. What do y'all think? Is the modern game better or is it broken? Let me know in that comment section and tap in and let's chop it up, y'all. And on top of that, lastly, I'll just say it is utterly critical for players to be historians of the game. When you go back and look at old interviews of Kobe and Shaq and AI and players before them, with Jordan and Clydes and the Hakeems, and they're always paying homage and alluding to the greats before them, and not just paying homage and revering them and showing them respect, but describing their games, describing why they were so great, and describing exactly what they pinpointed and stole and took from these great players' games to enhance their own game. They studied these guys. They didn't just know about the names. They actually studied these guys' games. And that's why the next generations of the Kobes and the AIs and the Vince Carters and the Shaqs and the Duncans, the Kate, that's why that next generation was able to be so great in their own right. And a lot of these guys to this day are revered as some of the greatest of all time because they did that work studying on the come up. A lot of these young guys today don't do that studying on the come up, so it limits how great they could truly be because they're not really learning from the greats before them. And learning from the greats before you will teach you how to have a complete game and not have this problem where you're stuck and chunking up threes all the time and handcuffing yourself behind a three. You'll develop a complete game. So with that said, let's see how the evolution of this three continues to go. Tap in that comment section. Hop up in there. Let's chop it up. It's your boy Nicky P, and you know who you rocking with. It's Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops. And until the next time, peace.